So welcome to another episode of Badass Banking. We've got some badassery right in front of us right now because I'm seeing Cabo Wabo and I'm seeing some Marshall amps right behind today's guest, which is the Managing Director of Strategic Alliances and Business Channels, Tommy Bradford. Tommy, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
You know what? As I was saying before, it is very hot here in Virginia. You're down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right?
Yeah, we got a cool 104 heat index right now. So,
Now, how's the humidity down there? Does it get as bad? Here we're on the coast. It gets pretty rough.
yeah, it does. We do get humid. That's part of the problem. Actually, it's light this week, but typically it can get anywhere above 60, 70%. And when
Ooh.
you got those 100-degree temperatures, that makes a nice little sauna.
Yeah, it makes me wish for Phoenix or
Yeah,
Vegas. Can you imagine that kind of humidity in Vegas? Oh my goodness.
it's a dry heat, but it's still hot. I mean,
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't buy that dry heat thing, you know. And when I see that dry heat, I head over to Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo right there on the strip.
there you
So,
go. Well,
yeah,
this was the one in Cabo. So
yeah, that's the real one.
it's nice and cool in there. Nice, good drinks in there too. But
Yeah, no, I've never been to that one. So do us a favor. Tell us a little about yourself, personal and professional. You know what you do there at Jack Henry. You know I'm a Jack Henry fan. We're not going to get into why, but love to hear what you do.
Yeah, so Tommy Bradford, Managing Director of Strategic Alliances at Jack Henry, and 30-year veteran. So, I guess the good way of saying is we're seasoned, and
Seasons.
a seasoned veteran in the IT space. Started career at EDS, and actually, interesting enough, was building a banking product that was competing with Jack Henry. I didn't even know who Jack Henry was. This was like late '80s, and so I had early on was involved in core banking, and had no idea of where it'd take me, and here I am working for another core provider in the banking space. Did a stint in consulting, which actually what led me to Jack Henry I was they were one of our this was back in the early 2000s when we were building J Exchange, and we were the consulting firm that was helping them. And then being involved with Jack Henry, I really liked the culture and the company and where they were going, and so decided to join. So I came over, and part of the reason I was joining was the work that we were doing with Jack Henry at that time was really leveraging the Microsoft stack, and they just weren't talking about it. And I was basically telling them, so you got to leverage this partnership. You got to create a partnership with Microsoft because you're doing a lot of stuff that they're interested in, and they'll help you, and you can help them, and so it's a nice win-win situation. So fast forward 13 years, and here we are.
Yep, here we are. Now, what do you think Microsoft is up to these days? Are they really they're focusing just on some of the mega banks, right?
They have groups that are, but that's what part in obviously going after the banks that aren't the mega banks is more through the partnerships. So that's where they leverage the Jack Henrys of the world, and obviously the fintechs of getting into the bigger space, in which I found I really enjoyed. There was one of your badass episode that you talked about the total assets of all the community banks, which was, I wrote that down because that's something that I can use with Microsoft, because they tend to get stuck in their their the blind spot of focusing on the big guys, but understanding that the rest of the 98% of the banks are being served by us and in our friends in the space, and we're helping them out. And so obviously with Azure now, with the cloud, they're very interested in working with us. They always have been interested in us because of our data centers and everything we have and how we serve the market. So their big push is Azure and Office 365, or
Yep.
Microsoft 365 now is what they call it.
Yeah, I use it. I mean, I think most of us in business are using it one way or another. I mean, it works well and it's dependable, and I
Yeah.
definitely prefer it over the Apple ecosystem as it pertains to mail. I run into all kinds of issues with that, and then Google Drive is another whole beast. Any new partnerships that really have you excited there?
we obviously, as we're exploring using the clouds or leveraging the cloud technologies, growing partnerships, and obviously with the acquisition of Gzio last summer, kind of put us in the AWS space. So, obviously exploring more with them, AWS and even Google has kind of snuck up on the horizon, because, Jack Henry's cloud strategy is we are agnostic, because obviously we can't just have one horse, and because our customers don't want us to have one horse. So we're agnostic, and so those two are the ones that are kind of rising up, and even IBM is kind of finally, which is amazing to me, because I always say that IBM was cloud before cloud was cloud.
Yeah.
In my EDS days of it was hosting, so the full circle we're coming back to, and so they're kind of on the fringe also, which is helpful for a lot of the cores, because of obviously the dependencies on the power chip.
Yep. Now, earlier you mentioned we mentioned Autobooks and Move.
Yeah.
They're two that I've got my eye on. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wade's, and I love what he's doing in Move. I'm involved in another startup, and he opened up their Slack channel to him, and
Yeah.
they're really impressed. And then I know Derek really well from his McCoy Myers days, plus the work he did with Wade, and I love what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So small business, I mean, that's going to be obviously an area that you're going to be focusing, I would think, on more and more. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we're always interested in the fintechs, as you are aware of, and because they're paving the ways out there. They're kind of uncovering a lot of opportunities and needs that are out there, and as we do, we partner with them. As if you've ever been to the Jack Henry conferences, you see the number of vendors that we have.
Yep.
And partners there that we invite everybody, and even companies that compete with us, we invite them, because we feel it's better for our customers to have their options and let the best man win.
Yeah, no,
So
I think that makes sense. And I've noticed over the last probably 15 years in my career how collaborative this space has actually become.
yeah.
Because 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't even be having these kind of conversations. You wouldn't feel comfortable with it. Things have changed, and
Yeah.
it's changing for the better. And I saw an article the other day that Bano published. You actually shared it, and it was from Bano, actually. It said, digital is not optional and self-service isn't sufficient. Digital must also be supported digitally. That's interesting. And relying on the synchronous call centers does not cut it. I would add another one, and that is, digital needs to be a cultural endeavor as well. You've got to have that yearning and that appetite to change things. And that's always been the most frustration for me, being one of those veterans, as you mentioned, is there's some bankers out there that are comfortable with the way things have always been done. Slowly but surely, we're seeing them evolve and accept new ideas. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think COVID's kind of accelerated that acceptance, obviously.
Yeah.
And and to me, the exciting thing about what cloud is offering is allowing these fintechs to really rapidly build stuff.
Yeah.
Because of they don't have that burden anymore of having the infrastructure to actually do it, so they can go out there and do it. That's what's exciting to me, is just seeing how the cloud providers are providing all this strength and ability for startups to be able to do what they do. I mean, that, quite frankly, that's why Wade's succeeding with Move.
Yep.
Is he's able to do stuff really quick, and obviously he's a very smart guy, and he's got a vision and he's passionate about it. So it's good to see when you got guys like that who can take their passion and make it really work.
Yep. I would agree. James Elwood, who's still at Jack Henry on the Gzio product, he was one of the first guys to really push fintech into AWS. And that guy's got a lot of knowledge in his head. Last year he did, or maybe it was the year before, he did a show on AWS's YouTube channel that they do, which was pretty cool. And I was there. That was a lot of fun. So as a partnership guy that drives alliances and has to manage them, what do you look for in an alliance? What do you want to hear from a fintech or from a potential alliance partner?
Well, obviously, that they have a solution that's fulfilling a need, and that and can help something that we can drive into our customer base, or at least we know it will help our customers, and technically be able to, integrate with
Right.
us. So obviously, the open people that are using the open APIs correctly and architecting correctly, those are the ones we want to look for, because we need to be able to get them integrated very quickly. So I would look for a lot of those, but and then just obviously the relationships they have in their message, because quite frankly, that's the stuff I have. And I can tell you, even with our big partnerships, because obviously you talk to a lot of the groups within the big guys, Microsoft, AWS, and Google, and there's times that they don't even have their story right,
Yeah.
because they kind of walk in with this, hey, well, we're Microsoft, we're AWS, you got to listen to us. And it's like, well, your story doesn't really resonate. It doesn't make sense to our customers. And we kind of help them make sure they're speaking the right language.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of fintechs. I hear a lot of pitches, especially over the last year, and they seem to fail to sometimes recognize what I call point of pain, and that
Right.
is what is the problem you're solving. Get to it quickly, and make sure your value proposition really nails that tightly, and do it twofold. They've got to answer to your needs as a core and the flexibility that you're trying to bring to market, and
Right.
also the flexibility of the demands of your end user, your customers, the bank technology people and the retail delivery people. Yeah, I mean, I think these are really exciting times. I mean, I think we're in for a heck of a ride. I've said it many times. There's probably never been a better time, even as two old vets like us, right? Well, not old, but two veterans is like us,
Seasoned.
seasoned. I don't think there's been such an exciting time. Do
No,
you
I'm,
feel
I'm
the same?
with you.
Yeah.
Have you read the book Zero to One?
No, I have not.
So it's written by the guy who started PayPal back in
Oh,
the day.
okay. Yep. Yep.
But I mean, he talks in that book about how we are still in the infant stages of information technology, to where up until recently we were just speeding up manual processes and all that type of stuff. And that when you started seeing the things like Uber and how they disrupted an industry just relative to leveraging technology, and you got Airbnb and all those the sexy ones. But I think we're right on the cusp of all that starting to happen now, as we're going to start seeing some very transformative types of technologies that's going to help change just the way financial services is being done.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, super exciting.
Hopefully we'll see banking get a little more badass.
There you,
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Well,
yeah,
listen, Tommy, I appreciate your time today. I know time is valuable. You got a lot going on, so I appreciate the insight you shared. For anyone out there that's watching, please like, subscribe, dislike, comment. This is all about engagement, as Tommy mentioned. This is a very collaborative space now, and if anybody wants to reach out to Tommy, I'll put your LinkedIn stuff in the description down below. Is that okay?
very cool. Yeah,
All right,
that's cool.
good, good. Well, I appreciate it, my man. And I love your backdrop. That's the best one so far, although I have Shevlin on next week, so I'm expecting something good from him.